Hello and welcome back to the Thought Leader Recruit podcast. I'm Sam Bylett, and today I'm joined by Sean Rodin, co-founder at Taylor Search. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Great to have you, Sean. Let's start with the big picture. Can you share what Taylor Search is all about and how your role has evolved over the past few years?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thanks for hosting and asking me to join.
Yeah, welcome.
Love talking about being an entrepreneur and the recruitment business. So Tailored Search, we're a boutique recruitment firm. We initially started in specializing in focusing on tech startups, but notice our niche was really partnering with boutique organizations. So that's branched out to media agencies, ad agencies, CPG startups, a lot of companies that are doing spin-offs, trying to start either a new entity or a new product. And we do headhunting and recruitment the old-fashioned way, finding and plucking the ideal candidate out of the market for you. So that's a little bit about us. We've been doing it about 5 years. I've been in the recruitment space almost 20 and love it.
Yeah. And what originally kind of pulled you in and what's kept you in the game for so long?
Yeah, of course. I mean, nobody knows about recruitment in the world of, kind of being in academia. You don't walk out saying, "Hey, I went to school to be a recruiter." You follow into it, of course. Likely a recruiter called you, or for me, reached out and saw my resume, thought I'd be good for their client, and then I realized that there was a whole industry around this. But why I've stayed, it's such a dynamic environment. I think that some people kind of love the dynamic of sales and partnering with clients and engaging clients, but nowhere else in that sales process is there an environment where it's like a win-win-win. You got to win for your product, as well as yourself and your customer. So that dynamic of a win-win-win, just keeps me engaged and keeps me interested in this industry. And, not many times your product thanks you for a deal well done. So, I think that keeps me doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said your sweet spot is working with one-on-one with founders on key hires. What's different about partnering kind of directly with owners versus going through HR?
Yeah. When we work with an owner, the pace of communication varies, right? It's either urgent and then it pauses and slows down and you don't hear from them because they're knee deep in the trenches doing stuff, or they're talking to you every 15 minutes. Where's my candidates? And it's like, I just talked to you 3 hours ago. And so it's an intense world to work with founders. But what's great about it is you get a true understanding of what the actual need really is. Not what the role is, not what the job description is, not what the business is doing, but what the need actually is for the business to move forward. And when you get that from the founder, the owner, or the person really owning that responsibility, you get the heightened sense of urgency while also translating that directly into the impact for the business. It's a much different way to engage in the recruitment process. It helps make things both interesting and keeps us on our toes. And I probably wouldn't want to do it any other way.
Mm.
The recruitment world is a lot about red tape and process. And if you can eliminate both those things, work directly with the person that's feeling the impact, also has skin in the game for the business, things move quickly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think I'd prefer that way of working as well. Absolutely. Yeah, the red tape and going through various other people just to get a message across is frustrating, isn't it? So yeah, totally get that. You used to run a bigger internal team, but now you kind of chosen a leaner model with just 2 collaborators and 12 to 14 active clients. I think you said. What made you scale back, and how has that changed your day to day?
Yeah, in the height of the startup tech space, Taylor's Search was thriving and we had a lot going on. And I think that was fantastic. It was nice to see the hum and the buzz and really a lot of the transactions happening. But I had to, I guess, sit back and think about what I really wanted to do. And for me, stepping away from the corporate world of recruitment, big agencies, international brand names, marquees, right? Clients didn't know who you were, they knew who the brand was. Stepping away from that and wanting to be in my own business and being an entrepreneur, when I started having 14 or 15 people work under me, I started getting away from, to me, what was important. And that was working directly one-to-one with clients and making successful placements based off of the relationships that I have. And so getting away from a transactional model to me was most important. And so scaled back. I work with a portfolio of clients that I love working with. A lot of them are exclusive to only working with just Tailored. And when you build relationships like that, we talked about skin in the game. we have skin in the game. Like the clients are relying on exclusively tailored search to deliver for them. And that's what I like. I like that pressure. And I think that's where a tailored search and my boutique team of misfits, that's where we perform well. We perform well when our client feels like, it's all on our shoulders to find them what they need.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. The job market is as tight as ever. How are you helping clients actually land the talent they want right?
Yeah, man. And I was thinking about that too, because, when you're jumping on a podcast around the recruitment process and kind of recruitment theory, it's like, what's working for you, right? And then what didn't work, and then where did you pivot? And so the market is an interesting one right now because there is this dichotomy of a lot of open roles, but a lot of not a lot of things moving. You hear about a lot of fake openings, right? A lot of posted jobs, but no traction. A lot of candidates that still can't find a job. And then you find a lot of companies that are like begging to find good talent. It's like, where's all the good talent? And the candidates are like, where are all the real jobs? So there's this really interesting dichotomy. And I think what makes what we do really successful is that we take a lot of the top funnel, fast process automation out of the game. And we're very, very hands on in taking our time and going through like ideal profiles. And I'll give you like an example. My clients will not see volume, but they will understand what I went through to assess the market for what they're looking for. I want to know competitors. I want to know like the specifics of really what drives and impacts their business, because I'm plucking somebody out of somebody that's already doing exactly what my client needs. So when you're asking us, what do we do really well in this kind of interesting recruitment market? I don't care if they're unemployed. I don't care if they are employed. I don't care if they've job top or if they've had 10 years of experience. What I care about is, are they today doing the exact job my client is looking for? And when my client gets a candidate from a competitor of a competitive space, they're not looking at past history. They're looking at currently what they're doing and whether or not that plugs directly into their business. And that's what we do well. I'm just going to unplug where they're at and unplug them right into your business, and they should not skip a beat. And that's when I've done a good job.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. A lot of people say there's a talent shortage, but do you think that is the case, or would you say people are just not doing their job right or not looking in the right places?
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting one. A talent shortage would mean that there's a lack of talent looking for work. And that's not the world that I'm in. I'm not in the world of looking at candidates looking for work. I'm looking at candidates within the space that my client needs. More than 50%, maybe 75% of the candidates I'm looking at are not even passive on the market. They're completely off market. So there is probably a talent shortage of really good people unemployed looking for work. I think that's probably slim pickings. But there's a lot of really good people looking for a better opportunity, but they're not actively on the market. And you got to find who those people are, find out where they're at, and you got to hit them up with a really good and compelling message.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And what's the most common mistake you see clients make when trying to attract that top tier talent?
Not having their story straight. So when you're a boutique or a startup, or you're trying to convince somebody to leave a job that they like, if your story isn't compelling, if you're not prepared to share it well, then you're not going to convince anybody to make a move. When your candidate has gotten 3 promotions at their current job and they're not looking to leave, but that's the person you want, and you're in love with their profile, be prepared to attract them. So whether that's a comp package, but typically it's a story. It's a compelling story about where that brand or that company is going. For me, it's typically sharing what this entrepreneur or this owner has already accomplished and what they're trying to accomplish and what this role will do to contribute to that progression. Those stories will get candidates to be like, okay, I'm willing to listen. I'll hear this out. That's how you win somebody over, with a really compelling story about progress and success and about where you're going.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, most kind of early stage boutique firms don't really have a big brand presence.
Yeah.
How important is employer branding when you're headhunting for those businesses?
Yeah. Man, I'd love to maybe even ask you a question about, kind of what people say in this space. 'Cause I think you probably talk to a lot of independent, very successful recruiters or small business owners in this space that are doing well, but that have likely struggled. I mean, we struggled for a long time, but I think for a bulk of our business, and probably for exclusively my client base now, it's all referrals. So if I know the number of clients I need to be successful, and I know the number of deals I need to do in a month or in a quarter to be successful, I don't need to keep finding new clients. I just need to make sure that my pipeline is full. And my pipeline is full typically of clients that know me or that were referred to me. Now, I got one client that I work with I absolutely love because I've done 3 or 4 deals with him, but he's probably referred me to 5 or 6 companies, other entrepreneurs. And that's what I'm grateful for. Like being in a circle of really successful people that are serial entrepreneurs that know other people, because I think that's how I keep my business going. Sometimes it gets a little dry and you gotta go out to market and you gotta kind of sell yourself. But my brand has never been what's been compelling. It's what we do, what we accomplish. If I get on the phone just like this with another business owner and they're asking me why should I work with you, you drop a few names within a few circles and it's like, hey, you know him by a second degree, and it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let me get that reference on the phone for you real quick, and then let's make this happen. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I've never
Sometimes
used my brand.
yeah, no, yeah, sometimes that's all it takes, isn't it? Is a name or a certain someone, and you're in the door.
Yeah, you use reputation, right? Your brand, your marquee. In this business, I'm never going to beat out the major firms. I'm not going to beat out the big ones. No one may never know my company's name, but they'll know mine, right? They'll know my name by reputation.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And we've seen, a ton of tech transformation over the past few years. From your seat, are companies adapting fast enough to hire today for them skill sets?
Yeah. I'm going to answer that really quickly. So I'm curious on you, since
Mm.
you've made your kind of transition and you've really been supporting, I think, the recruitment space and recruitment leaders. Have you felt like being kind of an independent consultant supporting these companies? Have you felt like you've had to tackle using a bunch of like AI to keep up with engaging your customers as well?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, yeah, a lot of the leaders I speak with, yeah, they're not up to date with it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's I mean, some are, but it's yeah, some are far behind for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think it's starting to catch up with some companies now.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I've thought about this because I've been asked this question a couple times, even from like candidates. Actually, no, now that I'm thinking about it, so one of my clients asked me the question. He said, "As you're sourcing, do you utilize AI?" That was like a verbatim question that he had. And so I think that in the world of boutique headhunting, AI is not as intuitive in terms of my day-to-day business. But here's where it benefits the business. There is automation within the process of recruitment. We're talking about sending out a message, scanning a resume, responding to job applications. I think there's a ton of AI that incorporates. I think business development, you can get out more messages, right? You can sales enablement tools, you can better understand your customer before you even pick up the phone. Your research goes from an hour to literally 60 seconds, right, of understanding. So I think there's a ton of AI tools, and we can even talk about individually how I've dabbled with some or how I use some. But I think what's been most interesting is that the faster AI comes on board, the more important it is for human touch to be involved. Clients yearn to make sure that they're getting the white glove service still. And AI will not give the white glove service. AI gives you a step above beyond your competition's capability of doing something faster. But the white glove service all comes down to human contact. So I think that there's a ton of enablement tools that small recruitment firms should be using. Sales enablement specifically, I know a few that are great. I dabbled in a couple. There's a couple great outreach AI tools that are, I think, fantastic. Messaging tools, follow-up tools are fantastic. Contact tools, I use Seamless, those types of things. I can name drop a couple really great tools. If you're not using them, you should, or at least consider them. But at the end of the day, my client texts me more than anything, right? And so just being available and accessible in a human capacity to your clients is probably what has kept my clients coming back to me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, recruiting is such a human centric industry, isn't it? It's I think there's levels to this, right? I think in some areas AI will increase more and more in recruitment, but then what you do, maybe in maybe kind of executive search, that kind of level, AI is not going to be as prevalent. I don't think it's going to save time. It's going to help for sure, but that kind of taking over the whole recruitment process, I just can't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. But look, here's where AI has benefited the space. Recruitment was a dying, boring, archaic environment. Like it was the same two job boards forever. Monster and Career Builder were around for 30 years before really anything else came in. And then Indeed started coming in. But then you started to have recruitment tools like LinkedIn, right? That were more dynamic, more robust. And then you have a ton of enablement tools in the recruitment space and CRMs. I have a CRM that if not for some AI plugins, I would still be typing in some stuff, wasting 15 minutes on every candidate conversation, or some of that stuff's getting in there automatically. But does that make the placements any better? It doesn't. It may give me more time in the day to do it, but ultimately, I think the human connection, I think, like you said, in the recruitment space is vital. And candidates are begging for it. The reviews all over recruiters' pages and in my threads, where it's like, no one's getting back to me, right? No one responded to me. I got an automated message rejection. Why can't somebody pick up the phone and tell me I didn't get the job after 3 interviews? Candidates are yearning from human touch. And so we just got to make sure that we're remembering that.
Yeah, for sure. And looking ahead, what trends do you think will kind of reshape how early stage companies hire over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple trends that I think are super vital. The biggest trend that happened, like say during COVID, was everyone was hiring remote. So it was those onboarding packages. You remember when somebody would post, I just got a job, and they'd show you their little water bottle bag and their computer setup. And then now that we're going like back in office, right? The new stuff is, hey, it's like unlimited PTO, it's like all these little perks. And I think the new trend is really going to be around making sure that I'll kind of explain this, making sure that during the interview process, people were taken good care of and that their brand succeeds before you get started. Experience, reviews, references, are becoming more and more vital. You got Glassdoor, Google reviews, branding. Back in the day, it was only the BBB, right, review, and nobody looked at that. But now everybody sees, well, how is the onboarding process? How is the interview process with the company I'm about to apply to? What are people saying about the company I'm about to fill out an application for? So I think the new recruitment trend should be all about that candidate journey, not just about the employment journey. Because brands that are hiring, that are scaling, they're going to continue to hire and scale. You mess that up, you get one bad review on the internet, people are going to stop applying to your jobs, right? You're going to start to feel the candidate shortage when everyone else is seeing a ton of applications and seeing a ton of good candidates because the reviews online are fantastic. I think that's been a big change. The candidate journey, the review process, the recognition that they get for onboarding and getting back to people, I think is going to be super vital. That's going to make their brand before people start to even apply to them.
Yeah, for sure. And for our audience, how can they get in touch with yourself and find out a bit more about Tailored Search?
Yeah, absolutely. Tailored Shirts, tailored, TAILORED, search.com. We represent both candidates and clients. So if a candidate's looking for a GTM role within the tech space, or love working in boutique environments, love reporting ideally to a good owner, don't mind being a part of a 0 to 1 type of business, that's the kind of stuff we do. And for clients, across the spectrum, agnostic of industry, but we like to work one-on-one with clients. So they can reach me on LinkedIn, or they can find me on the website.
Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it today. Hopefully speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers.